and 10th episode of Candid Conversations. And today we have none other than Soulrac live via Restream. Whereabouts are you from? We didn't even get into that. We just been chopping it up, but I was saving the good questions for the show.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm originally born and raised from Orlando, Florida. And, I represent Orlando, Florida, but I currently live near Tampa. But I go back and forth. Orlando, like my second home. So, I like to represent where I was born and raised. So I always tell people Old Town Orlando.
All right. That's dope.
Oh, yeah.
Man. So, like, what I saw from the beginning is that you got, like, I saw the post and then I was like, okay, like, because at first I was talking to MJ. Shout outs to MJ Savino doing the thing, you know what I mean?
Salute.
Like, connected me with, like, she filled up every podcast slot that I had for Candid Conversations this month with her artist. So, you know
dope.
what I mean? That was dope for me. And then, just to put me in contact with you. So I did a little bit of looking around.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, okay. And then I saw the post. I was like, oh shit, this guy's doing this. This guy's like topping charts and like, yeah, no, and all of this stuff. So I don't have the exact list, but give them an idea of what you're doing because like there's a few marks that you're making right now that need to be addressed.
Oh yeah. We Belly the Beast, one of the songs that I did with Craig G and VBS Verbal. It was the top song played on number one for the college radio stations. Out of 30 songs, it was number one. So that was a blessing just to have that. And it's just doing good internationally. That's where I'm really building my fan base overseas. And so it's just I'm just making some headways, and I'm just excited about more opportunities that's coming my way. And thank you for allowing me to be on the 110th episode of Candid Conversations. So I'm glad to be here to celebrate that moment with you, that milestone.
Yes, I appreciate love of you because you know what? I talked to not Stevie Dread. Well, I did talk to Stevie Dread today, but I talked to Lizzie Dread, and he said there's too much hate in the world, so we need to appreciate love each other. So,
I agree.
So you know what I mean? I'm just working my vocabulary to include that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm glad to have you here and to touch base on what it is that you're doing, and be able to possibly learn something new from you and maybe exchange some information that's mutually beneficial.
Absolutely.
Like that's the whole point of these Candid Conversations. I got to turn this a little bit because I got my co-host back here. He don't say much.
Oh, he does. Okay.
He don't say much, but he chilling.
Yeah.
We call him Fabric. You know what I mean? Fabric. So
that's dope. All right.
Yeah, man. So he's holding down the title right now. The only So but yeah, the madness, the hubbub. There's so much happening in the world right now. But let's take because you're in Florida, right?
I am.
Like that, I don't think they ever shut down fully.
No.
So what was it like going through these last 18, 20 months?
We did shut down in the beginning of the COVID pandemic. It was for, I think, maybe 2 weeks, and we was going crazy, stir crazy. But yeah, I mean, Florida has been the epicenter for COVID on many occasions because of the fact that we're not shutting down. They haven't really taken a strong effort to reduce the transmission of the virus. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's all a choice. I mean, you can stay in the house. You don't have to necessarily be around people all the time. I mean, I'm one of the fortunate ones. I'm able to do everything I do from home except when I need to come out, do an event and what so have you. So I take my own measures as far as protection is concerned. But, there are people who don't. They kind of just be out there doing their thing and they care less. And the governor really hasn't made much of an effort to reduce the transmission, nor has he allowed anything to take place that I feel can make an impact. I think it's all about money at the end of the day, because he wants to run either for governor again or he wants to be the president. And so he's trying to appeal to a certain segment of the populace. And I think that's what it's about more than anything. I think he's not too concerned about the safety of the people. I think he's just more concerned about winning votes or garnering votes that he can use in the future when he runs for office.
Let's talk about it. Because they say politics, like shying away from talking about politics and religion, are why people don't have intelligent conversations about politics and religion. So let us have this conversation. What is it that, like, I'm big on holding people accountable. I have this one saying, and I'll say it now. I said, you can't say government doesn't work if you don't work the government. Mm-hmm. That being said, working the government takes a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely true.
Like, I mean, like for basic example, I mean, it took me 5 years to get my walkway paved. Mm-hmm. All they had to do was pour some concrete, fam. Mm-hmm. Pouring concrete should not take 5 years to get approved, bro. In no way, shape, or form, especially when it has to do with the well-being of multiple individuals that have contributed what is requested of them or required of them in the tax, by way of the taxes, etc. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's just messed up that, like, it says in law we have to do this, but when you call them and say, "Hey, are you going to do this?" They're just like, "Yeah, about that." You got to call us back, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then when, like, you do finally get someone in a position that wants to do it or it says they're going to do it, they change them out of office.
That's always the case. Anyone that wants to do any significant good for the community as a whole. I mean, you know, I live in America, so we're a very capitalist-driven society. You know, it's about money, and money gives you influence, and influence gives you power. And so when you live in a society like that, there are so many people that get overlooked until there are people who have a heart that really care about the I don't want to use the word minority, but that care about the people who are unfortunate or have less access to certain resources. And so because those people don't have access to those resources, nor do they have the money, nor do they have the influence, they get delayed as far as things are concerned. They're like last on the list because they don't have the power to go to a presidential campaign and pay $10,000 for a plate and get in the ear of the president or get in the ear of the Senate or a congressman. They can only get there as a result of people working collectively. And then at that point, because there's power in numbers, then you get some attention at that point. But coming on an individual basis, it's hard to make any change unless you have money or you have the people that can help you influence the decisions that are being made by people in the legislature.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even with looking at that, to get that influence in the legislature, it's like you have to commit a certain amount of time and dedicate that time to either sending those emails or making those phone calls or visiting those offices. Mm-hmm. I chose a phone call route, and it's not easy because they can't see you and they can just hang up whenever they want.
Oh, yeah.
I took the email route, but the last time I had to send an email, oh gosh, I remember one time I called the office of the premier so many times they'd sent me an email. Like, our premier is like your senator, I think.
I think so. I believe so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'd called them so many times that they sent me a letter saying that I should write a social assistance review, like a review on everything that government was doing, kind of thing.
Okay.
So I said, all right, well, I took every question and I sent it back to them. It was 18 pages, the response.
Wow.
Oh my God, bro. For the next 3 years, I said, what page are you on? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Just like, where, like, have we gotten past it? And like, I did see, I want to say equivocal change.
Okay.
It was minute at first, but I pressed the issue and I said, okay, like, you asked me a question. I gave you the answer. You're not taking direction. How can you claim you have my best interest in mind if you're not listening to what I'm telling you I'm interested in? Mm-hmm. That kind of turned the gear. 12 years later, I've been on their phone every week, at least once a week, every week, to let them know, hey, this is what I'm doing this week. Like, I'm going to call them on Friday and be like, okay, cookouts happening tomorrow. The Culture Shock Community Cookouts happening tomorrow. We're gonna have the community out. We're gonna enjoy some corn and some chicken, and you know what I mean. Play some cricket control and have a good time. You know what I mean. We're not trying to get rowdy. We're not trying to get ruckus going on. We just want to have some good people, some good music, and some good fun. And then, you know, I'll touch base on some of the other issues, like recently, like with some of the work that we've been talking about, like the sidewalk got paved, but they didn't fix the boulevard around it.
Okay.
So you have the sidewalk right here, that's proper, but then you have a ditch right here, and then a ditch right here on the other side of it.
Okay.
So, like after another 2 years of belly aching, they just put down like a packing sand.
Okay.
So that it fills the area, and now I don't have to worry about when the snow hits, not being able to see the difference in the heights and stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Then, yeah, because like I've already jammed my ankle on there like 3 times. The worst part was I said before I jam my ankle, what are you gonna do if I jam my ankle? Oh no, that's not gonna happen. Jam my ankle. I left it alone. I said, you know what? I called that on myself. Whatever. Jam my ankle again. I said, no, forget this nonsense. You guys are gonna do something about it, or I have to do something about it. And if I have to do something about it, it's gonna cost you money. It's just, yeah, that's how we have to approach them. It's like, okay,
you have to. Yeah, you have to be, you have to come with a very aggressive come in an aggressive manner. You definitely can't be nonchalant or lackadaisical whenever you're dealing with government officials, because you got to put fire under their feet to make a move. And like I say, it's also, you got to be consistent. You got to keep doing it until you pretty much burn yourself out, basically. And you have to do it in numbers. Numbers make a difference. If it's a collection of people doing it, or if you have the passion on your own, you can do it. Whatever method we need to take to get things to happen is worth it in the long run, because at the end of the day, it's all about making change for you and for the future.
Yes, indeed. And it's like, it's our responsibility even sometimes. And I don't think enough people are taking it seriously, because like, oh, whatever, it's government. They take their own time. But when I saw that we could make a change, and yeah, you're right. It takes takes a body of people to do it, or like a mass of time to make it happen. But once you decide that you can do it and you see the change, it becomes like it's almost like a thrill seeking then, because like, oh, well, I made that change. I wonder if I can make this change. And it just starts to spiral into like, for me anyways, it just spiraled into this fascination with law and legislation and how to change things for the better based on what I had access to. So
yeah, I think that's what caused a lot of people to be passionate about something. And usually it may be based on a experience that they had, whether it was in childhood as an adult, or something that they experienced through the eyes of another person, and they became passionate about it. You think about some of the people who are prominent people in the civil rights movement. Something happened that triggered them. You know what I'm saying? Different things happen in life that triggers you, that motivates you to be able to be driven to a certain point to make change. Some of us, we have parents that nurture that in us, or some of us, we just do it based on environment, based on what we experience in life, and then that becomes the motivation. But at the end of the day, the ends always justify the means. So
always.
Yeah.
And there's no problem without a solution.
Exactly.
So if you can see that, like, I had to check myself one time. I was just like, all right, you're doing a lot of complaining, brother, and I don't see you really focusing on a solution here. Maybe you should take some time to think about a solution to your problem instead of just complaining about the problem as it is. You know what I mean? So, and then I just, like, something came over me, bro, and it's just, like I said, the lengths I've gone to, and it's not just politicians or government, it's corporations and all of that stuff too. Like we are, like, and I'm going to speak on culture for a minute.
Okay.
We are the most, like, people have us documented as spending the most amount of money, and what are we getting out of it? Like, if you look at some of these other cultures, they don't spend anything unless they're getting something back for it
Mm-hmm.
on top of what they're buying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know myself, I've been a spendthrift, just, oh yeah, boom, oh yeah, boom.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what are we, like, how can we change that in a way that actually positively affects us and those we care about?
Well, I think one of the things we can do, we have to learn how to invest. I think Jay-Z said it best in his song Story of OJ. He was talking about how you can buy assets and it appreciate over time versus something that depreciates over time. So we have to learn the value of investment and not just talk about it, but do it. One of the ways that we can increase our capital or close the generational wealth gap is that we support businesses that support us. Businesses that's willing to reinvest back into the community versus just going and buy. Because, I don't, I'm not against anybody buying Gucci or Fendi or any of these high price items and buying them from those markets. But how many of them really contributed back to the community? How many of them have really made an effort to bring awareness to social issues other than when they get caught? You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. And they wait till they get caught. It's just like, oh, I didn't say that. What we really meant was.
Exactly. The whole thing. Yeah, like Gucci, for example, they had the sweater that resembled blackface. And then after that, they hired Dapper Dan to become a designer. I'm sure he wouldn't have had that opportunity prior to that. But that's one of the things that can bring about change is that we challenge them to invest back into us because our capital do make a difference. I think we're learning the value of our capital because most of the time we're just, spending money and not reinvesting it in Black communities. We're not investing it into businesses that contribute or bring awareness to some of the issues that we're having. Even with our ability to vote, we need to make sure that people that we vote in, regardless of what party you support what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go.
Yes, indeed. It's true. And like, you can only tell somebody so many times before, you get tired of talking.
Exactly.
But I think there's some change coming around. I think part of this is, like, before COVID, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the world looked like it was coming together. Like, it was just, like, it was right here. Mm-hmm. And all we had to do was just close our hands like this. And then COVID just said, nah, fuck all of that shit. Just forget all that noise. You going over there. You going over there. You get, you know what I mean? It's like, holy snap, bro. And like, now up here, we're on our fourth wave.
I believe so. I don't even know where we are. I know it seemed like it's been a constant wave. And the wave never stopped.
They just in the stadium.
Yeah, it just seemed like it kept coming. So I don't even know. We might be on the 7th. I'm not even sure where we are right now with the waves. But yeah, it's definitely ongoing. But yeah, I think that through the power of the internet has been good and bad. It's been good because it created opportunities for people to connect. Like, for example, you and I connected through the power of the internet. Yes, and it also gave people an opportunity to hide in their groups and get into their social structures that benefit them because they're not challenged to talk to people that look different than them, talk different than them, feel differently than them. So it has its good and it has its bad. There's nothing wrong with the internet per se. It's what people use it for that makes it bad. You know what I'm saying? It's just a neutral ground that people uses. But I will answer your question. I'm gonna dive a little deeper with that.
Okay.
I do feel that there are opportunities for us to come together because you saw that with the Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, there weren't just Black people that were marching in those marches. There were people of different cultural backgrounds. So I do see that tragedy have brought us together, and I believe we'll also come together even with the pandemic. But that has to come with us constantly working on it and striving to see the end result we all want. I know in here we talk about we want to strive for a more perfect union. And part of having that perfect union is getting people to communicate to one another, tear down the barriers, and begin to look one another in the eye, other than being an internet troll and trying to speak your piece behind an avatar let's see each other, let's connect with one another, and let's build something, because the next generation deserve better than what they're seeing right now.
Yes, you know what? I am motivated to continue my pursuits just hearing that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's just like, all right, do I feel like doing anymore? I can't. This is just no. Why? But then, you know, other times come around and it's just like, all right, it's me to do. Like this community cookout. I've been here for 9 years. I'm like, okay. Like when I first moved here, they held them. So it's just like, all right. But I never got an invite. So it's just like, all right, year 2, year 3, year 5. Like, all right, so year 7, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Year 8, COVID. No, year 9, COVID happened. So it's like, all right, this is year 10. I said, you know what? I'm taking this by the reins. We built a stage in the backyard. I went around, dropped off letters. It was a community cookout. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Phineas and Ferb, but it was like that. It happened, and then it didn't. Like, it looked like it didn't happen. It was perfect. So a couple people are like, oh, this should happen more often. So I'm walking around the crowd. I'm just like, okay, we'll plan one next year. Someone else is just like, oh, it would be really nice if this happened like once every 3 months. I'm like, well, 3 months will put us in the snow. I can't do that. So boom, October, let's go. And if you listen to your environment, like when we listen to our environments, we get cues to what we can do if we pay attention. Like, and the thing is, in doing that, I was just going on a whim. But when I told all of the people that I got feedback from, that I applied their feedback, they were genuinely excited that their voice was heard. And then they wanted to be a part of it again. So it's just like, all right, let's do this. This is the fun stuff we can do. Because you're right, everybody is in their section or their group. And except for the people trying to put on events like this, there's a few other events happening out here like this that I didn't hear about until after I said I was doing my event. But that's just the Terrell effect.
It always seems to happen that way, doesn't it?
I'm telling you, I'm looking around. What's going to happen? What's going on? Is there anything happening? Okay, nothing's going on. I'm going to make something happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I'm going to make something happen too. Oh, well, I can make something happen better than you. Why do you have to be better than me? Why couldn't you have started before me? You know,
that's how it happens.
Yeah, so I take it with a grain of salt and look at the fact that I couldn't house everybody anyways. So, you know, I'm not going to argue over crumbs when I'm baking a cake.
That's true.
You know what I mean? That's true. And too many of us are like fighting over crumbs. Like, why? Oh, man.
Yeah, I never understood that. That's something like I try to talk to artists. I say, let's all work together. Let's support, one another. So that way we can be able to have influence because you're dealing with the major labels and they're the ones that control the radio stations. They're controlling, different platforms that we're all trying to gain access to or have influence on. And they can do it because we're trying to fight over the crumbs. We're trying to, I got more Spotify views than you and this and that. At the end of the day, what matters is that you're making money for what you're doing and that you're able to live off the art. That's eventually the end game, I feel, that artists will strive after. But we're fighting too much over the small things when we could come together and go after the bigger things. So
it's like if you have the eggs and I have the flour and he has the water and he has the milk and he has the oil and she has the pan and she has the oven, let's just make a cake, bro.
Exactly.
Like, why are you throwing your eggs at me because you have enough eggs to waste? Like, bro, I only have so much flour. I can't even pinch it and fling it in your direction, bro. What's going on? I only have enough to do this. So, like, you can keep throwing those eggs because you have them, but you're not gonna make a cake throwing eggs. It's just
that's the point. Knowing the value that we have as individuals, but knowing how powerful we can be if we come together and what type of impact we can make over the long run if we just choose to share our resources and we'll be able to make more of an impact that way versus trying to do it on an individual level or basis.
Yeah, I have weekly meetings with Lushy, Team Action, we call them. We call
Okay.
it Lushy Bantan, A. Smith, Jennifer Cheshire, Stevie Dredd, Greg pops in from time to time, and myself, and we go over literally we started the meeting at 1:30 and I didn't finish until like 5.
Oh wow, okay.
And that was the thing. Like it's such positive energy with us all working on the same common goal. And you know what I mean? Like I said, one has the eggs, one has the oil, one has the water, one has the pan, one has the oven, and we all come together and we make the project happen. I'm trying to I want to say influence other people to, you know what I mean, look within their networks and establish teams like that so they can, you know, start to build within their circle and then stretch further and then continue until they're reaching out to the people that need to hear their content or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not everybody, like the whole leading a horse to water thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like more people are catching on, but I think like we're still in a situation where people don't want to be told what to do. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you're wrong about it. I think that's the problem with most of humanity is that we want to hear our own voice. We don't want to hear anybody else's voice unless it's something that tickles our ear, you know what I'm saying? Because people don't like constructive feedback. People don't like no one to tell them that, hey, you know, there's a better way to do this, you know, because sometimes we're driven by our own hype. Until you're honest enough with yourself, you got to be honest with yourself and willing to take whatever someone tells you and take it as constructive feedback or take advice that's going to benefit you. But everybody don't have that mindset or they haven't arrived to that point yet. Not saying they can't, they just haven't arrived to that point yet. But when we get to that point, that's when it's easier for you to build with people because in order to grow and in order to succeed, there has to be some level of honesty, there has to be some level of trust, and there has to be a willingness to cast a vision and everybody working that vision to reach the long-term goal. And so everybody has to come together and do it on a consistent basis if they want to see results.
Okay. I want to take a side note for a second. Okay. I really like the art and how professional this press release looks, and I think I might have another page available in my magazine. So that being said, if I do have an open page, I would like to include this press release in it.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that.
I could probably, like, I know I have one page, but yeah, so I put the write-up in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, because and I'm a big believer in universal manifestation.
Me too.
So, like, if I sit here and say something bad's gonna happen, something bad's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. So I always tell myself something good's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I rephrase my statements in the most affirmative manner in order to generate that positive energy. And you can ask anybody that drives with me. I rarely ever, unless I choose to, don't have a spot close to the door of whatever I'm going into. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's just a simple thing. But like, I mean, I've like just today, I was downstairs in the basement. Like, shoot, I have extra pages. What am I going to do with these extra pages? I only have a couple of days left to finish the magazine. I thought I had all these pages covered. Then I get this 2-page spread. I'm like, okay, that's one more for the Most High.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, because like he's the only one that could hear it all. It's either Jesus or Jesus. That is my theory.
Okay.
I have a theory, and I've even shared it with some of these governing officers. I said either you're listening to everything I'm saying through my devices and making it happen, or there is a divine entity beyond all of our knowledge base that possesses the capacity to fulfill our requirements. Mm-hmm. I said on the phone one time, it was winter. I'm on the phone with the office of the premier again. I'm just like, okay, I got to go on the road, and it's out there, and I don't even like driving through snow. So anyway, you can send a plow to, you know what I mean, clear the way for me. they laughed.
Mm-hmm.
I only said it as a joke, you know what I mean? Because they're like, is there anything else you want? Because I ran down a laundry list of things that needed to be addressed. So they're like, oh, no, they chuckled. So I go out later on in the evening with my family. God is my witness. Cloud comes off the side street right in front of me, drives like to the next block, and then turns off. I'm like,
wow.
I was amazed, bro.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, now did it happen because I said or because I asked for it to happen? Did they actually send someone to do it? Is it a coincidence? Even if it's a coincidence, it's two things happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So how did this happen? And if you, like my mom said, if you take too much time to think about any one thing, you'll drive yourself mad. So
make a lot of sense. Mom gave you some good wisdom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to the mom juice, because like I said, there's times where I take on more than I should, and she's just like, David, how do you eat an elephant? And me and my sarcastic self, Mom, I don't like elephants. It's leathery. It's tough. I don't like the texture. Come on now. And she's like, you know what I'm asking. So it's like one bite at a time. You know what I mean? So any tall task, if you take it one step at a time, it's not as daunting.
I totally agree with you on that part.
So
yeah, I agree. Because one of my things now that I'm working on is building an international connection, working with producers in different countries, and build relationships with people in those countries. That way, we create a network of creatives, and that way everybody work together cohesively to support one another, whether it be through music or whether it be through contacts, resources, whatsoever have you. That's one of the things that I'm looking to do. I'm already part of one organization called DSR, which is a collection of artists worldwide. But I'm also looking to do something under the brand that I'm working with now, Preserving the Culture, which is like preserving the legacy of hip hop, but also connected with people from on a global scale. So just building one person at a time, one country at a time, one artist or one producer at a time till we reach our goal.
All right, that's a good goal. And if you want to include me in that network, by all means, I am open to, you know what I mean, providing whatever help or service I can.
All right,
where possible. You know, it's like I do this not because I want to sit atop a mountain and look down on people. I do this because I genuinely have interest in seeing people in a good place. And if I can help them get there, then I will. I've never told anyone I could make them rich or famous, but I'll tell everyone I can save them time and money.
Okay, well that works for me. But I'll definitely reach out to you for sure.
All right.
That's a good thing. Somebody can save you time and money. That's worth its weight in gold.
You know, and like it's just what it is. So you know what I mean? And I have like my wife/manager. She's just a phenom. We were nominated for, I say we, but I give her all the credit. We were nominated for Promoter of the Year last year for the Niagara Music Awards. So yeah, we're doing things and we're making headway. So it's just, I'm looking for more people to work with that are strong-minded and crafty and creative, and you know, they know what they want to do with themselves. They just need the extra energy or bodies to get to that next step, because one person can only do so much.
I agree.
On their own. And it's like I said, with this group, I know that like I don't have to worry about the promoting aspect of it, because there's someone handling the promoting. I handle the grit, the problem solving, you know what I mean, the solutions, and like creating new ideas and stuff. Like we all create ideas, but like I'm the guy that has to sift through it and make them all work, deal with the logistics, and you know, kind of see what can from what can't, and then we all, you know, bounce our ideas off each other and make it work. It's just, it's awesome to find like-minded people that you can actually jive with and like get work done, but it not seem like working. Like I said, it was just a fluid conversation for the better part of 3 hours, but we got work done in the process. Like I updated his website, I changed some of the images on there, I sent them all emails with the new merch. I gave them links to the television station. These are all stuff that are just happening while we're just shooting the breeze and enjoying ourselves. So there's so much possible if you believe it, and there's so many people that have been convinced that their belief has no value. And that's what I think it is. I think it all goes back to like cajoling or mocking people for thinking that they're capable of doing something. If you think you can fly, bro, by all means, let me know when you sprout wings and I will watch that and cheer you on. I'm not going to tell you can't fly, because for all I know, you have a rocket pack under your coat and you're ready to go just to test me. Hey, more power to you. Because I know if I say I'm going to accomplish something, I set my goal, my mind to it. That's it. Doesn't matter who's talking in my ear. Yeah, okay. You don't see it now, but watch when you see it. I wrote a 20-year plan down. 20-year plan in 2007. And from then till now, I think there's maybe like 4 things on the list. And it was like 26 items on the list. Like maybe 4 or 6 things that I haven't accomplished yet.
Oh, that's dope, bro.
Yeah,
that's dope.
So what about you? Do you have any like lists that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things I'm working on. I'm doing them in phases. The first thing, I already started my label, so I did that. That was one thing I wanted to do. But making the label international, where we have people we have a group in France that's working with the label. And then basically right now, my immediate goals is just to create a music catalog. And then after that, do a Preserve the Culture tour where we're going to travel abroad and, talk about the culture and give independent artists for the most part, an opportunity to be exposed and heard through the platform that we build, but also preserve the legacy of hip hop, like beatbox and breakdance and all of the elements. That's one phase. The other phase is to do a podcast under the Preserve the Culture banner. That's just 2 of the phases that I have right now. And eventually, when all of that's said and done, I would like to do some college tours and do some things of that nature. So there's a lot of things that I have planned and structured to do. It's just all about implementation at this point, but I'm doing them in phases as we speak. But right now, the goal is just to get the music catalog tight and right. And then after that, venture out into the other avenues that I created.
All right.
Yeah.
That is a very well structured plan. Because I find there's times where like it's like you're running into a fire, but you ain't put on that flame retardant equipment that you need to get through the flames, kind of thing. And like I say that in the sense of it's like, okay, I want to make music, I want to perform, I want to sell shows, but I don't have a catalog of music to promote myself, to convince the promoter that I should be on the set. And you know what I mean? It's so hard when you find someone who has skill but no character.
Yeah, you're right about that. That's the biggest missing is character in a lot of people, for sure.
Yeah, yes. There's been a couple of people where I've said, you know what, if your character matched your skill set, no one would be able to talk to you. But but in saying that, like you can't, like, oh my gosh, there's stories that I have for days that I told myself I wouldn't tell because there's so many people belly aching about me telling my part of their story.
Okay.
So
one day we can hear them.
Yeah, man. One day. It's interesting though. Like I'm glad you took the time to come out and have this conversation. Let's talk more about your music. Caught You Slippin', that's a song right there.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay. What went into that? Like, what was that about? And like, how did you create that?
Well, basically, Caught You Slippin' was more or less a message to women that, that are beautiful inside and out. And basically, it just wanted to let them know that don't let no one take your character for granted. Don't give away too much so quickly in relationships or with people. Know your value. And when you, like, for example, if you try to love a man because he got money or he has material things, and you you put more emphasis on your outside versus your inside, then you're not really living up to your full potential, because there's more to you than just what we see on the outside. So when you're not doing that, you're caught slipping because you're not living to your full potential. So that's basically what it means. It's really a universal song, but then we kind of have certain parts we're dedicated to all women, because anyone who listens to it can benefit from the song.
See, like, if that's the type of thought process you put into your music, I like to collaborate, because like there's so many people out there with like the degenerative descriptions of women, and they're like, I'm like, people might consider me to be a feminist. I'm really not. I'm a humanist.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I believe everybody should have their rights and their respects as intact as they should be. Mm-hmm. I was raised by my mother and my father, but there's a lot of women in my family. Like, they contributed to raising me too. So I never understood how we came from them, and they're so degraded in the hip hop culture.
Yeah, definitely.
There's not enough. Like, I mean, it's unheard of. And I'm sitting here like, wait, you can't talk about my sister like that. Hold on a second. I got a mother. God damn, my daughter's going to listen to this stuff. What's going on here? You know what I mean? It's madness. So it's good. It's very refreshing to hear that there are conscious artists out there taking consideration for how their lyrics affect people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a father growing up. My father was incarcerated, still is. I was raised by women. And so that respect was something that was instilled in me from a young age. But in addition to that, I have a daughter. And so I want to make music that she may hear one day, and maybe she, God willing, my goal is to make my music timeless. So as she get older, she hear it, and she hear the type of music her father made, because it provided an outlook or encourage men to respect women, and also encourage women to respect themselves. And so that's what I think about when I put pen to pad. I think about the type of impact it's going to have on people. And I think about what I'm trying to accomplish in each song. That's what I strive for, and that's my objective.
That's awesome, because part of the reason why I'm on here week after week, 2 times a week, every week for the last, this show's been 110.
Okay.
The Terrell Effect has been 253 as of this Saturday.
Wow.
This Saturday is going to be my second live event during the Terrell Effect.
Okay.
But I do this and I catalog most of the stuff, so when she, down the road, when I'm not here, she can go back and see all of these different episodes and learn different things from all of these people and regain some kind of a connection to me, and understand that how to approach people or talk to people or just have conversation and learn something from it. So it's good. Definitely good stuff that you're doing, man. And
yes,
I want to see more part of it. Like, I got to shout out MJ again.
Thank you, MJ.
Yeah, I also got to shout out Private Name, Private Number, because he helped me create this show a while back, actually.
Okay.
He suggested that I do a show that visited the artist outside of their art. Talk about things that they talk about other than their music or what have you. And so far, I mean, it's been a good run. I've gained a lot of knowledge going into situations where, I sometimes am walking blind, but here's where I flip the script, because I know you said you have a time. Before we head out, I wanted to know if there's any questions that you might have for me.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're doing the candid conversation, doing all the other things, and I know that you said that you are involved with promotions. Is that correct? Just want to make sure. So if artists, independent artists, are looking to get promotion, because that's one of the things that we challenge with, considering that we have so much responsibilities. How can they capitalize off the services that you offer, or do you provide an avenue that they can take so that way they can be able to get their music to the next next level, rather?
Well, I do provide managerial services, and I do work with a few artists that I'm helping like get branding and elevated to the next level, so to speak. I can put my link up here. You can contact me at info@sharetheshock.ca. Just put, your question in the subject, or, just put general inquiries in the subject, and then ask whatever question you have to ask in the body of it. And I will get back to you within within the day of receiving the email. I provide, like I said, I've invited several people onto the podcast, the Candid Conversations, the Terrell Effect. I do another one called Tough Talks with Tilly and the Block. But where it comes to like developing your brand or your craft, yeah, I provide, like I said, services where I can direct you. And if I don't know what you need to know, I know someone who does. Okay. So I can always refer you to another individual if there's something that's out of my wheelhouse. So,
yeah, because that's one of the challenges as an independent artist, is that there's so many people out there who's offering this and offering that, and most of the time it's either a scam behind it. I know you're not one of those people. That's why I wanted you to share your services, because you're very authentic in what you're doing. But there are a lot of scammers out there who don't really care about the artist. They're just trying to get a quick buck. And unfortunately, if you're not privy to the right people, or you don't know an MJ, or they don't know someone like you, then a lot of times you can get caught up in the tide and never really spend a lot of money, but don't accomplish anything, or you're just further away from your objectives. And so that's why I'm glad you shared that, because based on the conversation we had, and we've been candid throughout the conversation,
yes, sir.
Is that you've been, you're an authentic person, and you did state that you want to help people. So I want to make sure that information was shared, not only to me, but those who are listening in.
I appreciate that. That I'm humbled by that, because yes, I strive to provide, like I said, I strive to be as authentic as possible. Like I mean, I'm outlandish in so many ways, but whenever I do that, it's always to get the attention to put it on somebody else. So like, for example, like I do, like every holiday I have like a hat that goes with the holiday. Well, for the major holidays, I have a hat that goes with the holiday. So it's at the point now where if people don't see me in that hat at that holiday, they're disappointed, and like it's just not like their world is just not complete because they're so used to seeing me in that getup. So it's like it warms my heart to see that people are actually paying attention to what I'm doing and receiving it for the intentions that I'm doing it. So I thank you for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Yes. Well, again, I thank you for being on the show, and I thank you for allowing me to talk outside of the art, but also talk about the art as well. So we was able to double dip, so to speak. So
yes,
thank you for the opportunity. And once again, shout out to MJ for the connect and everything she does for the music and for the culture.
Yes, man. Honestly, she said she's just a girl who loves hip hop, and you know what? The ones who do it because they love it are the best ones to find.
I agree. I agree.
Straight up, man. Yeah. I'm telling you, like I like just, and like through the phone, there's just a genuine energy about her that I haven't like even spoken to her yet, like verbally, but like just the way she communicates is just, there's something really I can dig about her. So
she's the real. She's the real deal for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna have her on Candid Conversations. I think the first Wednesday of November. I just got to confirm with her.
Okay.
But, yeah, we're gonna have her on. So
Yeah.
I gotta get to talk to the woman herself, and get to understand what makes her tick.
Absolutely. Yeah, she'll be a good person to have on the show. Good guest.
All right, sounds good. I want to have you back on the Terrell Effect so we can play your music.
Okay.
And like I'm sure by this point in your career you have a catalog of stuff.
Oh yes.
If you want to send me some of your songs, I can add them to my catalog.
Okay.
And then I'll play a few of them just to give them a sample of who you are. And then when you come back on the show again, we'll feature you and play, like, I'll do a mix of your songs.
Okay.
And include some of the other songs from my catalog. Kind of, make a bit of a mixtape, so if you will.
Okay, I'm down for that. Let's do it.
All right. So I will let you know when the first Terrell Effect is open.
Okay.
And hopefully that works in your schedule.
We'll make it work. All right.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
All right, King.
All right, King. Peace and blessings.
Yes, man. Bless up. All the best. Thank you for your time again. We'll touch base soon.
Yes, we will. Stay blessed.
All right. So for Candid Conversations and Soulrac, this is the Block saying, bless up. And you never know what you can learn if you're open-minded and make the right turn. Yeah.